It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It is the Anthony Cumia Show. How is everyone? My goodness gracious, a Sunday evening on 4th of July weekend. You having fun? I certainly hope so. Last night, of course, was 4th of July, but you get the whole weekend. It is dandy when it falls on a weekend because you still get the Friday off. They can't take that away from you. And then you got a weekend, a whole weekend. You don't have to worry about waking up hungover, which I'm sure many of you did this morning. I pulled the reins back. You know, years ago, the day after 4th of July, which I guess would be the 5th of July, was just nightmarish. Waking up, the pounding head, the wooziness. You got to do the medicinal beer to get back into it because you're not done. It's still 4th of July weekend. So I hope you're having a great time. The weather's been wacky. In D.C., of course, they had the big Donald Trump, the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. And Trump wanted to make it a big party. That's how Trump does it. And it was unbelievable. I wish I was there. It's one of those things you watch and go, that would have been nice to be at. Because history making, I guess the Guinness Book of World Records is saying that was a world record with the most fireworks ever shot off, I think ever for anything in the world. It did not stop. I was watching videos of it, and at one point it just looked like D.C. was being carpet bombed. The smoke, and of course they're all bitching and complaining about the smoke today. Oh, the particles in the air, you could still smell it. Damn that Trump. Oh, yeah. One day we actually celebrate something in this country instead of complaining and crapping all over it. And, of course, that's a problem, too. But it looked fantastic. It looked great. There were a lot of people, from what I saw, watching. Flyovers. Nothing cooler than a flyover. Just a bunch of, who was it? The Blue Angels and the Thunderbirds. And then they have the giant fuel tanker aircraft with Black Hawk helicopters and Apaches. Just an amazing display. Something so cool about that. And, you'll see the people, the blown out, overgrown hippies and the liberal left, and they hate it. Why do our tax dollars have to go to machines of death? Because it's cool. I'd rather have my money go to a rivet on an F-18 than a lot of these nonsensical social programs that the liberals waste your money on. So it looked fantastic. A great display of national pride. There were a lot of fireworks last night. All over the place from the videos I saw and around where I live. I went out into Greenville with some friends and had dinner, and on the drive back, man, a lot of fireworks. And it was good because, I don't know, some years you just feel like it's not clicking, like maybe people aren't feeling it. And the media, of course, is going to push that America is terrible, and if you're celebrating it, you're celebrating an oppressive, racist, homophobic nation, blah, blah, blah. And truth be told, I think the vast majority of people that aren't mentally ill, like we see on the left, in this country, do have a love of country. And they do have a pride in nation. And it's great that a couple of times a year, depending on what the holiday is, we get together. We blow off some fireworks, we crack some beers, and celebrate. Get out on the boat if it's summer, and celebrate the unbelievable good luck we had being born here into this country. Because, when you think about where you could have been born in the world, odds are you ending up here. They're not that good. Not really that good. 200 and some odd million people. It was a lot less when I was born, and probably when a lot of the people listening were born. And compared to the world population, the odds that you were going to drop out here in the United States of America are pretty slim. And then there you are. You're here in this amazing country. And as time goes on, we see people that come here and they don't appreciate what this country's all about and who built it, who's responsible for the ideals we have, the laws, the ideology, the way we interact with each other as Americans, because that's part of the whole process of this country growing over the course of the years. That's something that I don't even know if any immigrant can feel. You can come here from a faraway land that is an S-hole, as Donald Trump has called a few places, and you can absolutely appreciate the hell out of this country, and you can bring your skills and talents and appreciation and contribute to the United States of America. I got no problem with that. But I still don't believe you are going to have that feeling that Americans have, natural-born Americans, having lived your childhood here. I don't think people understand the importance of growing up in America in the context of being an American and appreciating this country more than I really do think any immigrant, legal immigrant even, could possibly imagine. It was such an important part. You learned about the country, and I'm not talking about just in school. You learned about the country, about your freedoms. You learned responsibility in a place where the adults were people that could teach you to be a good person, to be a good American, to respect things, and have a dedication and a loyalty to the country. And I just don't think that happens. You see somebody, Zoran Mamdani, and he came here, what, a decade ago? Not even? I really don't think you can understand America without having grown up in America. And I'm not talking about it has to be the good old days. Anthony Cumia, there I was, 9 years old, riding my bike with my friends, East Islip, Long Island, with Boomer Esiason, by the way. That bastard. Got in a fight with him, broke my arm when I punched his head. We both went to Timber Point Elementary School. Not kidding. And that was just something that instills Americana in you. Growing up, riding your bikes with friends. We used to go to Heckscher Park out on Long Island and try to catch newts and amphibians and frogs. And it sounds like the Little Rascals, but it was only, the 70s. And it just instilled in you how wonderful this country was. Even at that age, you had an appreciation for what you were doing. So when I see people taking office in this country, whether it's local, state, or federal, I do not think they can appreciate what this country is as well as somebody who was born here and raised here and spent a childhood here. Same thing with, Obama. Don't even get me started with the Hawaii thing. But I kind of feel the same way. You didn't have that experience of growing up. An American family, 4th of July's, growing up, experiencing 4th of July's, your neighbors, your neighborhood, a block party, a barbecue in someone's backyard, even if there was somebody that just recently moved in. There was already a commonality. There was a common interest. There was common ideology of being an American. You could sit down and start talking to a brand new neighbor and have more things in common than you didn't have in common. That's gone with people that come here, especially when they come here and make these little enclaves for themselves in Minneapolis, plenty of other places. They refuse to assimilate. They not only don't embrace this country, they hate it. There is a disdain for America and everything it stands for. And the more liberals try to convince the population of this country that it's a strength, that diversity is our greatest strength, and they're talking about Muslims, people that have come here from third world countries and have no interest whatsoever in assimilating and becoming part of American culture and an American society. They hoard together. They practice everything that they practiced from the crap hole third world nation they came from, like Somalia. They have a loyalty to Somalia above and beyond any loyalty that they would have for America. I don't think they have any loyalty for America. And when they're all put in one place, it's very hard for them to assimilate. And I think that was done on purpose by a lot of politicians, presidents, bringing people in and giving them areas where they can take over. And this has done nothing but make more division, make people more angry, and make these areas of people that are not American. They can live here, they can be within the borders, they can have the legal documents, but that's not American. If you ask me. All right, where are you going? Come on, 800-848-9222, 800-848-9222 to get involved in the program this evening. We're going to be talking about a lot of things. We're just starting. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It is the Anthony Cumia Show. Talking about 4th of July weekend, of course. Big celebration, 250 years of the United States of America. I vividly remember the bicentennial. Let me tell you, kids, I remember the old days, 1976. It just was a different attitude. A different attitude. There was such patriotism. And I'm not looking through rose-colored lenses at the past. There was plenty of division back in 76. There was a lot of people that were not happy with the direction of the country. We had just come off of Watergate, so there was not a lot of trust in the government. And, there was a lot of division still from Vietnam. We still had people that were divided over that. But there was absolutely patriotism in every aspect of this country in 76. And I understand the 100 marks you're going to be a little more excited than the 50 marks, the 250th, maybe the 300th will be crazy. We'll have flying cars by then, I'm certain of it. No, I'm not. But, it was just, we had every commercial for every product was red, white, and blue, the flag waving, the rosy-cheeked kids, the families doing American things, going to see the Grand Canyon, drinking Coke and Pepsi and whatnot. That's just not the vibe. I don't want to be a downer because, like I said, it was great seeing that fireworks display and seeing so many people really excited about the 250th anniversary of this country, birthday of this country. So that was cool to see. But, as you get a little older, maybe I am looking back fondly, waxing fantastic about the old days. Let us talk to Jay. Jay from Bayonne, Jersey. What's up, Jay?
Hey, Anthony. I find it interesting. What do you think about this? Because I actually I've read, and July 4th, 1776 was not the day that they actually signed and wrote the Declaration of Independence. That was on July 2nd, and they signed it on August 2nd, 1776. So really, America's birthday, it got it all wrong. It's not July 4th is not. That was all they did on July 4th was send the official document to the printer to get it, to get the words right. But
well, Jay, you could take it up with them because I think we've all decided July 4th is a pretty good day. I don't think 1 or 2 days difference is going to be a big deal. Jay.
What? Do you...
Hello, Jay. Uh-oh, where'd he go? Was he mad? Was he mad that I said it didn't matter? That he called to tell me there's a 2-day discrepancy and we should have been firing off firecrackers, what was that, Thursday? All right. Sounds good. Of course, the lovely Sandra from New Jersey. Sandra, what's up, dear?
Oh, hello there. Hi, Anthony. I wanted to share this with you. I saw young Washington tonight, and I said, I can't wait to come back and tell you how phenomenal that movie was.
Oh,
yeah. I recommend everyone go see it. It was by Angel Studios. It shows you him as a little boy and how he had a mind of his own right from the beginning. And it shows you...
Not teeth, though, of his own, right? He had a mind of his own, but those teeth were... belonged to an oak tree or something, from what I'm told.
I don't know about his teeth. In the movie, he's very handsome. The person who played Washington was very, very handsome. There are some well-known people in the film that you'll recognize, but it was so great. It shows you how he served as a young officer and how the people trusted him, and he really, really cared about his men. And it was just an unforgettable movie, and I really think you should go see it. I promise you're going to love it.
Sandra, I got to ask, though, because it's terrible to say, did they show him as a slave owner?
No. No.
Oh, boy.
I think I remember in the movie someone who did have slaves offered to give him 2 of their best men. Oh. I remember that. But that he was not involved in any of that when he was very young. He actually, lived, very modestly. He loves his mother, and his brother was his mentor. And, because they wouldn't let him go to school. So he was so determined to learn, to read, that his brother got him all the books, and his brother taught him everything about respect. And it was just a very beautiful, he's very humble from the very, very beginning. He is a very humble man. And
do they cover that chopping down the cherry tree thing?
Yeah, they did. They show that. He comes back really angry, and he's chopping down the tree. You have to see it. It was done so well. And then when I think about the war then and the wars now, it was very scary then because you didn't have any place to hide. You were right out there getting shot by.
Yeah, they would just march at each other and kind of big lines of men just shooting at each other with horribly inaccurate weapons. But Sandra, I would love to talk to you more on this, but don't spoil it. I want to watch it to see if he becomes president. No spoilers, Sandra. Thank you, dear. There goes Sandra. Yeah, I want to see that. This Angel Studios, I guess it is. They've been promoting themselves like crazy on social media with a bunch of movie trailers and stuff. And I saw the trailer for Young Washington, and it did look pretty good. It did look pretty interesting. But I can't imagine that some people won't be upset that they didn't even address that George Washington was a slave owner. And, without addressing that, you can't watch the movie and then talk about what a piece of garbage he was, right? Am I right? Boy, let's go through some of the tallies here. We got to go through some of the tallies in some of our fair cities across the United States of America. 4th of July weekend, it was very hot in a lot of the country. And it's the weekend, and it's a holiday. So what does that amount to? Let's see. The weekend isn't even over yet, but let's take a look-see, shall we? Chicago. 4th of July violence leaves 20 shot, 4 killed, 3 stabbed, with 7 persons in a mass shooting, leaving 1 child dead. 2 of the wounded were Chicago police officers. How about that? Chicago really coming in with some big numbers. New York City, 8 people shot in Coney Island alone during the 4th of July celebration Saturday night, including 4 children aged 6, 7, 12, and 14. Isn't that great? I mean, it's terrible. What am I saying? But the people don't want to do anything about it, so sometimes I get confused and assume they must think it's great. Because if it wasn't, why wouldn't you actually do something to solve the problem? Silly me. I get confused. A cop shot in Brooklyn also. A detective shot in the back. He's healing up. He'll be fine. Boston, 13 shot, 2 dead. Centerville, Missouri, 9 shot, 2 killed. Pensacola, Florida, 6 shot, 1 killed. San Antonio, Texas, 5 shot, 1 killed. Radcliffe, Kentucky, 4 shot, 1 killed. Brooklyn, New York, 8 shot. Chicago, of course, we went through. Hilton Head, South Carolina. I'm from South Carolina. 7 shot. San Bernardino, 4 shot. Dayton, Ohio, 4 shot. And Buffalo, New York, coming in with 13 shot. 7 shot, 1 stabbed in Rochester. More than 50 shots fired. So there you go. There's the 4th of July tally. What a great way to celebrate the 4th of July, huh? You got a noisemaker in your hand. You point it at someone, and you just celebrate the living crap out of them by pulling that trigger over and over and over again. Something has to be done. Of course, Mayor Johnson has a great take on, well, taking care of crime in Chicago. We'll hear from him in a moment. Stick around. Anthony Cumia Show continues.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show, and you could join us here on the phones, 800-848-9222, or if you can't get through on the phones, I have a post up on X, Anthony Cumia on X, and you could comment there, and I scroll through that during the commercial breaks, and I'll pick out a couple of your comments from there if you want to get involved with the show. Zoran Mamdani, New York. Oh, boy, you're never going to live that one down. Mr. Communist Mayor of New York City, Zoran Mamdani. Well, he had a few nice things to say on this 4th of July weekend. He was sitting at George Washington's desk. We heard about young George Washington, the movie. He was at George Washington's desk, surrounded by a bunch of immigrants who had just gotten their citizenship. They were waving little American flags, very patriotic. And one thing I've noticed about a lot of these Democrat politicians, communist politicians, liberal politicians, they can't just say something nice on the 4th of July about the country. 250 years we've been in business. It's worked out pretty well. We're having some issues of late with some people that don't think we've proved enough over 250 years. They want to change things, make it better. And all I see are people trying to completely undermine the great things that did make up America and exchange all those institutions and values and an amazing culture that we have here in America. And they want to exchange it for debauchery, crime, perverting the minds of children, indoctrinating them in schools, all that stuff, making it seem like you're terrible for loving your country. So that's what's going on. But Mamdani, like the other ones, they can't just say something nice. It's always got to be this thing to draw in. You know what it is? To draw in their base, their voters. They need the people to say, oh, it is terrible. Oh, he's saying happy 4th of July, happy Independence Day, 250 years. But please, Zoran, please tell us how terrible it is. Because that's how you won, by telling people how you're going to fix how awful America is and has been for 250 years. So let's listen to Zoran Mamdani as, if you ask me, he craps on the United States of America. That would be AC3. Here we go.
As we mark 250 years, what do we see? We see a city of contradictions within a nation of contradictions. We see the wealthiest country in the history of the world.
Yeah.
One where children go to sleep hungry while the world's first trillionaire hungers for more. We see monopolies that dominate every industry and oligarchs who buy elections. We see masked agents terrorizing our streets, eating food cooked by our undocumented neighbors before spiriting them away in unmarked vans.
Well, you don't want to spirit them away before they give you your food.
Has been built by those with calloused, dirt-streaked hands, those who toil on factory floors and chisel into stone. And we see a nation that has allowed so much of that wealth to be held instead in the soft hands of a precious few.
You got soft hands,
yes,
Mr.
we see
Hooper.
America in a health insurance industry that exploits the sick, but that is not all we see when we look for America. We see it too in the nurse who works a double shift and then stops on her way home to check on an ailing neighbor. Yes, we see America in corporate landlords for whom negligence is a business model. We see it too in the father who tucks his children into bed beneath a ceiling stained with leaks, who wakes before dawn to go to work and still believes this country can do better by his family. Yes, we see America when we spend our tax dollars on bombs and bailouts, when we sell our elections to the highest bidder. Yet we see it just as clearly
How about
in
stealing
every
elections?
American who still believes this country belongs to we, the people. We see America each time neighbors link arms with neighbors without asking how long they have lived here or what papers they have, as ICE invades our neighborhoods. We see America each time those young and old stand in the beating rain or the stifling heat to cast their ballots. We see America each time working people demand more.
Illegally
not
cast
just for
their
themselves,
ballots.
but for their fellow Americans. There are some who respond to those who ask for more from America with a simple refrain. Love it or leave it, they say.
Like it
But
or lump it.
patriotism has never been about pretending our nation is without flaws. Patriotism is every act of righteous dissent. It is every march led under the heavy sun. It is every protest held a decade before
How about
its
it's
time.
being proud of your
It is
country
precisely because we love this nation.
for a minute?
We will not leave it. After all, who loves America more than those who have sacrificed so much to make it free?
Oh, can you just for a second love it or leave it? Yeah, I agree with that. Bitch, and complain. That's all you hear out of these. Oh my God, is it that bad? And he just describes this post-apocalyptic dystopian. The ceiling's leaking. The father's getting up to go to his crappy job on the factory floor. The kids are starving. My God. Most people are, okay. I understand things are expensive. And we go through those cycles all the time. Sometimes they last longer than other times, and we hope to keep them to a minimum. But that's what happens. And most people are able to make it work. With Zoran, it's a grift. It's a scam. He needs everyone to feel like everyone is ready to give up. They're all impoverished to the point where they barely have a roof over their head. Their kids are starving. This isn't the norm. And it's terrible that there are people going through that, but there are so many resources for that. And our tax dollars go toward it. And a lot of private charity, church charities go to it. It's astounding in a country of just about 350 million people that people aren't literally starving to death. Yes, they are, Anthony. Shut up. No, they're not. There are people absolutely go to sleep hungry. There are people that probably haven't eaten for a day or two. I do get that. There are people that are mentally ill that don't know that there are resources available to them. But we have an amazing country of 350 some odd million people, and no one is being found on the side of the road that had starved to death. It doesn't happen in this country. It's amazing. We're in an unbelievably charitable country. And if someone needs help and can reach out and ask for help, they will get so much of it. Food, shelter, clothing, care for their children, medical care. Yeah, that's the amazing country we live in. But boy, don't say a word, Zoran. Don't let them know that that's available. You got to make it sound like you're the only one and your ilk that could possibly bring that to the people. Ah, God, I can't stand that guy. At George Washington's desk, 4th of July weekend, he's just talking about the horror. And, of course, he's got to bring up the Elon Musk thing. Like Elon's got $1 trillion in cash stashed in his mattress. I cannot get over how many people treat Elon Musk's wealth that way. Like he's just sitting there lighting cigars with $1 million bills. Instead of the truth of the matter, where his companies have that much wealth, that many assets. That's not all liquid. You don't just have $1 trillion, dollar bills, 1 trillion of them. Look at me. It's making more money because it's enriching the country. His various companies employ thousands upon thousands of people. People that get paid, use that money to feed and shelter and clothe and educate their families. They pay taxes when they get paid, and the companies grow, and that's a great thing for the country and for the people that work there and for everybody, the world. You don't think Starlink is a good thing for Earth? Internet access, high-speed internet, no matter where the hell you are on the face of the earth. I'm watching these great videos of these amazing people that are sailing across the Atlantic on this little one-person sailboat or rowboats. There was some girl I was watching a few months ago, and she rowed across the Atlantic Ocean. And every day, a couple of times a day, she would pop up on Instagram, YouTube, and give you a report from the middle of the Atlantic Ocean of how she's doing. And it was great. The only way she could do that was through Starlink, one of Elon Musk's companies. The satellites launched by another one of Elon Musk's companies, SpaceX. So to talk about this guy like some evil hoarder of wealth that will smack down a hungry child tugging on his pant leg for a quarter, like it's the 30s, is ridiculous. It's ignorant, and it's so biased, so politically agenda-driven. You don't like him because of his politics, so everything he does is terrible, and any money he has, he's gotten through greed, and he won't share it. I love the people that want to spend his money, like Bernie Sanders and Liz Warren. We could have, with all of his wealth, he could feed the entire nation for over 5 years. And you're like, what? Yeah, and what is that going to do? You ever hear that whole give a man a fish, teach a man to fish? I think there's more equity and more value in his companies and what he's doing with that $1 trillion than handing it out to people that are proven to be horribly irresponsible with money. Right? Let's think about that. It's not like a movie. Homeless people, people that are hungry, people this. It's rarely like a movie. A lot of these people have mental illnesses. It's not like they fell through the cracks. A motivated guy that wants to get out there and get himself a job and take care of his family. And just for some reason, He just keeps falling through the cracks. I've never seen such a motivated person that can't get a job. That ain't it. There's a lot of laziness going on. There's a lot of drug use, a lot of mental illness, and just doling money out to people is not the answer. It's barely a Band-Aid on the problem. And these are also people that make crime. A lot of crime comes out of the homeless community and people that don't have money because of mental illness and drug use and what have you. But they want to take the money from the companies that the guy's running, Elon Musk, that is actually helping. Remember when before they knew Elon's politics and he was the guy with Tesla and the electric car, and they loved him. Couldn't love this guy more. He's the guy that's going to solve the fossil fuel problem with his electric vehicle. Oh, they loved him. And then he goes, hey, maybe the government is spending too much money on these redundant social programs, and 10 people are doing the job of one person. And we could probably cut some of that. Oh, this terrible man. What has he done? He's hoarding $1 trillion and babies are starving. There's vultures circling the children of America. And that's what Mamdani was pretty much what he was saying on the 4th of July. Great. Thank you. Thank you, Zoran. Oh, my God. So over the weekend, yesterday, as a matter of fact, 4th of July, we saw the fireworks in D.C., and I guess a world record was set. 850,000 munitions were fired off. 850,000. If you need any scale on that, usually when there's a big fireworks display, it's about 20,000 munitions go off for those giant displays in New York City and Vegas and things like that. This was 850,000 munitions. It was nonstop, and it looked great. And only Trump would do something like that. And you could say that's bad or that's good or whatever. I think it was great. People don't like when Trump does anything. There are certain people that don't like anything Trump does. I was talking about the Golden Eagle. You know, he put the Golden Eagle above the doorway between the big columns of the White House. And I'm like, yeah, it looks silly. It looks tacky. It's gaudy. It doesn't quite go with the stark whiteness and slight black trim of the White House architecture. But it's pure Trump. It's pure Donald Trump. So the people that don't like Donald hate it. They think it's a crime for him to put that up. And the people that like Trump, you could be honest. I would rather it not be there. It just doesn't look good. Big, stupid gold eagle. But it's not like he's desecrating the White House, just like the MMA thing. I didn't think that was an insult on the hallowed grounds of the White House. And what else do we got here? The 4th of July news. SeaWorld. Yeah. SeaWorld is said they're not allowing American flags. You can't walk around SeaWorld with an American flag, no matter how big or small it is. And I was wondering why, and so was one of the people at SeaWorld. Let's hear the kerfuffle they got in with one of the security at SeaWorld, AC4.
What'd you say? We can't what?
No flags are banned.
And why is that?
It's just part of our park policy.
Since when?
For a while now.
No. That's un-American. We can't.
Just no flags.
It's 4th of July today.
I understand.
Is that what you're saying? Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm going to bring... Okay. Perfect. By the way, you're being recorded.
That's fine.
You're being recorded. That's the battle cry of everybody. You're being recorded. Yes, so I don't care. Yeah, that's unnecessary. You can make a policy that the American flag is allowed. And you could have size. That you don't want somebody walking in there with a giant American flag. But if you want to, on 4th of July, walk through an amusement park, what have you, with a little American flag and wave it around to show your patriotism, stick it in your backpack so it's waving behind you, whatever. That sounds great. It's patriotic. It's appropriate. But to make this blanket policy, no flags are allowed. Why? Because you're afraid if an American flag comes in, that someone will bring some other flag that offends the park goers or something. Okay, then just make American flags. What's wrong with that? You're in America. Your park is in America. What's wrong with allowing people to bring a single flag, the American flag, into your park? Make that your policy. I am really tired of this blanket policy where if something happens and a policy needs to be put in place, that everyone needs to suffer. And we see this all the time with curfews, closures. You need a chaperone if you're under 18. We see a small portion of people making it so everyone has to be treated like a criminal and can't enjoy themselves because now it's the policy. You could do one thing. It's your business. You could do one thing, make that the policy, and tell other people that want to do what they want to do, no, that's against our policy. But not allowing the American flag in. Keep torturing your orcas and your dolphins, SeaWorld. What a horrible organization. All right, don't go anywhere. So much more to talk about in moments.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. Let's go right to Susan in Corning, New York. Susan.
Yes, Anthony.
Hello,
okay,
dear.
Hi. Well, I'm just going to go right back to this current situation that was so nauseating. Mamdani, to add insult to injury, sitting at George Washington's desk in his cozy little mansion up there, paid for by all the taxpayers. And, okay, so he did start out, like, talking about how George Washington, how he survived the first Battle of Brooklyn, how he just crossed the river. Well, for God's sakes, that was where the first evidence of the hand of God came in, because he was almost captured. There happened to be that group led by that Colonel Glover, who had his Marbleheads from Massachusetts, these amazing mariners who guided him after he lost almost half his troops, guided him down to Brooklyn Heights, and it had been a very clear weather, and it was just an enormous task.
Yes. Are we getting a history lesson, Susan? Is that what we're doing?
Yes, it is. It is actually. That's when the providential evidence was this fog came in, because the Brits were right up the river.
And the fog rolled in,
them.
gave them some cover, and we were able to emerge victorious. Susan, what do you think is more dangerous, Brooklyn back when Washington was there during that battle, or Brooklyn right now, as we speak, this second? I think Brooklyn now is a little more dangerous than back during the Revolutionary War.
In a different way.
Yeah, well, that's for sure.
I got you.
So, yeah, him sitting behind that desk or in front of it, it was turned around. The drawers were sticking out forward. It was just a weird kind of vibe of him giving that speech, bashing America from behind, in front of Washington's desk. Susan, thank you so much. Susan's a patriot. This is hilarious. Paul Pelosi back in the news. Of course, the 86-year-old husband of Nancy Pelosi, former Speaker Nancy Pelosi, involved in a hit-and-run crash into a parked car. Oh, they're so hard to see, those parked cars. In Yountville, while driving his convertible Maserati. This guy, these politicians, and Pelosi's one of them, always talking about the corruption and fraud and theft, and her 86-year-old husband is tooling around in a convertible Maserati. They've got millions upon millions of dollars, and you're not allowed to question it. They say no Dewey involved. The guy ran into a car and then left. It was only because his own car was so damaged and broke down that they were able to see who did this, because he was leaving. He was going home, this guy. They say no Dewey involved. I doubt that. Why would I believe that? Why would I give him the benefit of the doubt? He's been in 5 accidents over the course of his driving career. One accident killed his 19-year-old brother, David Pelosi, and a coroner's jury exonerated him. This guy has been in 5 major accidents in 1957, 1970, 2022, 23, and 26. He's been in major accidents. And this one, he decided to leave the scene. Don't you think you'd know that you're not supposed to do that? That is completely illegal, and you should be arrested for that? But for some reason, why hasn't he been arrested? Statement from the Pelosi family. Mr. Paul Pelosi has personally apologized to the owner of the vehicle and assured them that he would take responsibility for the damage to their vehicle. Speaker Pelosi will not be commenting further on this private matter. Well, make her. Anytime you see her, anybody that sees her, make her comment on this. This husband of hers, what was that story? The guy came in and started hitting him with a hammer, and he was half dressed, and they were both boozed up, and that guy's disappeared under the prison. That guy's gone. He was tried, convicted, and sentenced, and we never heard another word from this guy. Who was he? And again, Nancy didn't want to comment on that either. That's how they do it. They talk about a 2-tiered or multi-tiered justice system. Everybody needs to be held accountable for their crimes, no matter how powerful they think they are. We hear them spew that nonsense all the time. And then whenever they get into a jam, suddenly, somehow, miraculously, they're not in trouble. It just goes away. Imagine you hit a car and run from the scene. What'll happen to you? Yep. That's the country we live in, the Pelosi's. Wonderful, isn't it? All right, don't go anywhere. We will be returning in moments.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show, and we're going to delve into something that has, once again, divided the nation. Everything divides the nation. Vanilla or chocolate, dividing the nation. Well, sort of. This is the Walmart shooting, the Walmart parking lot shooting. A black woman shot a white man, and she has claimed self-defense. The video has been out there for a while now, and we make our decision. We look, we make our assumptions, and we speculate. We do a lot of that because we don't have all the evidence. All we have is a video with really no sound, and that's all we can base our conclusions on at this point until more evidence comes in. Witnesses, maybe another video, because we don't know right now what they were saying to each other, which is relevant in certain parts of this confrontation that they had. It is relevant. What we see is that these two people were vying for the same parking spot. and they each thought they were entitled to it. And an argument broke out, a verbal altercation, very important that you realize this was a verbal altercation, nothing more. This did not get physical. The first physical part of this verbal altercation was the woman shooting the man. That is the only time this conflict became physical. And I think that's important, too. A lot of people seem to have a complete misunderstanding as to what stand your ground means. Florida has a stand your ground statute. And people seem to think that means you pull your gun out on someone, no matter the reason. It's just whatever. Pull your gun out, and then you don't have to retreat from that situation. You then can shoot the person if they start coming toward you because you have no obligation to retreat. So that must be what stand your ground means, right? No, it doesn't. The other thing is, what was this guy doing? People seem to be confused, and they seem to think that if somebody is stupid enough to walk up to somebody that's holding a gun, that the person with the gun magically has justification to shoot them, regardless of what they were doing or saying, if they were being aggressive or not. Just the act of walking towards somebody, no weapon in your hand, your hands aren't up in a manner where you might assume that they're going to try to hit you. You're not running toward the person, head down, arms out to tackle them. We saw the video. This man is walking around the parking lot. He's walking between cars, in front of cars, walking. And when he walks toward this woman, she shoots him. That isn't self-defense. That has nothing to do with self-defense or stand your ground. The law is unfortunately, there are some vague parts of this that can be interpreted, and I'm sure they will be by the prosecution and defense attorneys, if this does end in an indictment, and I believe it will. I've been arguing this on social media since it happened. And I am from the school of thought that she will be indicted. She hasn't, because Florida does have a policy, a statute, whereas if somebody claims self-defense and the initial evidence doesn't disprove that, you can't go into a bank and shoot somebody, the teller, and then go, it was self-defense. And then the cops go, Florida law, we got to let her go because she said self-defense. And then we'll wait, we'll investigate it, and if it's not self-defense, then we'll arrest her. So there are certain crimes you can't just say self-defense and you get to go home. She claimed that this was self-defense. The initial investigation did not prove otherwise, but that's just the initial looking around, not really looking at the evidence. And she was allowed to go home. And a lot of people were pissed at that, but that is part of Florida's statute on self-defense. But I think the more the cops look into this, I think if it wasn't the 4th of July weekend, she'd have been arrested already. I think this week we will see an arrest. This is not self-defense. She might get a manslaughter charge put on her. That's her best bet. We'll see. We'll see. Look, I'm just talking here. I'm not a lawyer. I don't even play one on TV. I'm just not a lawyer. But I have watched a lot of cases on television. I watched Murder, She Wrote. I watched the one with Andy Griffith. Was that Matlock? Oh, my God. But here's some of the wording from the actual Florida statutes on Stand Your Ground. Stand Your Ground is a Florida statute that expands self-defense rights by eliminating the traditional duty to retreat before using force, including deadly force, in situations where a person reasonably believes it is necessary. Very important. Florida was the first state to enact a broad version of this in 2005, building on the older Castle Doctrine, which applies inside your home. The law has two main parts relevant to everyday understanding. So here are a couple of the instances where you can stand your ground. You don't have to retreat. There's no obligation to look for a way out. A person is justified in using or threatening non-deadly force when they reasonably believe it is necessary to defend themselves or another against another's imminent unlawful force. No duty to retreat. That's for non-deadly force. That means somebody comes up to you, smacks you in the face. How about that? Smacks you in the face. You can respond in kind. You can punch him in the face. You can grab him and throw him to the ground. And that is a defense that is equivalent to whatever you were assaulted with. You can't shoot someone for slapping you in the face. Put it that way. So non-deadly force. For deadly force, it is justified if the person reasonably believes it is necessary to prevent, here it is, imminent death or great bodily harm to themselves or another, or the imminent commission of a forcible felony. Example would be robbery, burglary, aggravated assault, kidnapping, sexual battery. These are, this doesn't really come into play in this case. So again, for you to use deadly physical force, for you to use stand your ground, where you do not have to retreat from this situation and can indeed use deadly physical force, the criteria is that you must reasonably believe it is necessary to prevent imminent death or great bodily harm to themselves or another person. Now, we've all seen the video. Does that look like a reasonable person in that circumstance would feel that they needed to kill someone to prevent themselves from being killed? Well, Anthony, she had a gun. The man was walking toward her. So she might think, if he gets my gun, he could use it against me. That's an interesting take. Well, why does she have a gun out in the first place? If she didn't have a gun already in her hand, she wouldn't have to worry that a man approaching her might take her gun. Meanwhile, nothing that this man was doing would indicate he meant her any physical harm. Any physical harm whatsoever. He hadn't put a hand on her during this entire altercation. Yet she felt compelled to take a gun out of her car for a situation that did not merit her taking a gun out. That in and of itself is illegal. You cannot pull a gun out on somebody because of a verbal altercation over a parking space. Doesn't matter what the subject is. But if you're having a verbal argument with somebody, you are not legally allowed to pull a gun out on them. So the fact that she had a gun in her hand escalated the situation from a verbal altercation to now more serious, violent altercation. She put herself in the position where she now might have to worry that this guy's going to take her gun. And again, he made no indication to that. He was well out of arm's reach of her when she shot and killed him. This is not self-defense as per the law, the way it's written. Stop being emotional. Stop being tribal with, you're the same color as me, so I have to back you. And people have asked me, oh, Anthony, if it was the other way around, you would obviously side with the white person, even if they were the one doing the shooting. Nope. I've done it in the past. I've seen instances where it's been white people that have fired their weapon. They were not justified in using deadly force, and I called it out. Of course. I wasn't being emotional about it. People are being purely emotional, tribal. They're using race and no common sense whatsoever. We'll continue on this, and I want to hear from you people. 800-848-9222, and we will return in a moment.
Got a Sam's Cafe pizza order up. You know the best part about this spicy Italian sausage? I voted for this topping. Yeah, just another perk of being a member. Come join us. Sam's Club.
Introducing Taco Bell's new jalapeno citrus salsa. With bright citrus, real red jalapenos, guajillo chiles. Usually, you add sauce to the food, but when the sauce is this good, the food is just there to get the sauce to your mouth. That rolled quesadilla, not a rolled quesadilla anymore. Now it's a sauce shovel. Taco Bell's jalapeno citrus salsa. Get it with any item on the Cantina chicken menu while it's here. At participating U.S. Taco Bell locations for a limited time only. While supplies last. Contact store for availability.
This episode is brought to you by Google Chrome. You think you know a browser, but Gemini and Chrome? That's new. It can help you with practically anything on the web, like restoring a vintage motorcycle from a 50-page restoration blog, or finally break down that long article you've had open for weeks. Gemini and Chrome is here for it. Ready to make anything online make sense? There's no place like Chrome. Check responses, setup required, compatibility and availability varies, 18+.
And we're live from the living room as Doug eyes up the match day spread. He's reaching for the Buffalo wing. Perfect! Hang on, what's this? Oh, he's gone for a can of Pepsi too! Incredible! What a finish! Sensational combination! Look at the delight on his face. There's no doubt about it. It just tastes better. Match days deserve Pepsi. Food deserves Pepsi. Grab a pack of Pepsi Zero Sugar for today's match. It's poetry in motion.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
This is the Anthony Cumia Show, indeed. And we're talking about that Walmart parking lot shooting. A lot of people divided. A lot of people believe that the woman that shot the man was justified and it was self-defense. Other people saying, no, she had no right to use deadly physical force on this guy, even though Florida has this stand your ground statute. And there are a few other details here that make sense and I think point to this woman having used deadly force when it was not appropriate. Key qualifiers: the belief must be reasonable, objective standard, what a prudent person would believe in the same circumstance. This is what happens when it goes to a trial. This is what happened with the Carmelo Anthony case. A jury is sitting there. They are hearing both sides of the story. They have to imagine that they are in the place of the person claiming self-defense. And as a jury, as reasonable people, they have to put themselves in that position and go, would I, in that situation, use deadly force? Because I would have thought, like this person is claiming, that my life was in imminent danger of being taken. And that's really what you're trying to do. Convince a jury that if they were in the same position, they would do the same thing. The belief must be reasonable. The defender must not be engaged in criminal activity. The defender must be in a place where they have a legal right to be. She was. Initial aggressors generally cannot claim the defense unless they clearly withdraw and communicate the withdrawal. Now, this also is something people are saying, well, she was withdrawing. Well, did she communicate the withdrawal? Did she lower her weapon? She's not obligated to withdraw if it is indeed a self-defense case. But it can and will, if this goes to trial, be argued that she was the aggressor. We don't even know who the initial aggressor was for the verbal altercation. Who got out of the car and started yelling, "That's my parking space"? Did anyone get physical there? We don't have video of the beginning of this. Let's see. There's more here. Here we go. Verbal threats alone usually do not justify deadly force. Now, they use the word usually, so it doesn't mean 100%. I get that. Verbal threats alone usually do not justify deadly force. There must be an imminent threat of unlawful force or harm. You have to believe that this man walking toward you means to do you deadly physical harm. And people that say he followed her around, he was stalking her, he went between cars, static. I called in the Carmelo Anthony case. I was calling certain aspects of the case, certain things a lot of people were really discussing on social media. I called that static. And you know what that was? Well, he was invited into the tent. Oh, okay. Well, was it one or two people that told him to leave? Oh, okay, that's good. Was it raining? Did he go under the tent to get out of the rain? Oh, that's interesting. Static. None of that mattered. None of it. And the fact that this guy was walking around, going between cars, following her, static. That does not come into play in this case being a self-defense case. He did not do anything that we saw in the video. That could change. Did not do anything we could see in that video to indicate he meant her any bodily harm. And do you know he could have walked up to her and smacked her in the face? Smacked her in the face. She still wouldn't have been justified in drawing her weapon. Never mind shooting him, in drawing her weapon. Mutual combat or provocation. If you started the fight or escalated it unreasonably, the defense is unavailable. Get that again. Mutual combat or provocation. That's what we saw here. If you start the fight or escalate it unreasonably, the defense, the self-defense defense is unavailable to you. Getting out of your car with a drawn gun and pointing it at someone you are having a verbal argument with is escalation. How do you deny that? Unavailable. If you escalate it, you cannot use self-defense as a defense. Obviously, law enforcement encounters, you can't use the same rules. Hey, the cop was doing this, so I defended myself. Property defense, of course, that's if you're home on your own property. And here's another thing. They talk about the stand your ground law in Florida. And it is a statute. Retreat still possible in practice. This is a limitation. This is something that is taken into consideration during these cases. Even if no legal duty exists, juries and judges evaluate reasonableness, and choosing to retreat when possible can strengthen a claim. She was in her car. This dispute was over. The dispute about the parking space. The guy moved on. He apparently parked somewhere else. From some of the limited witness testimony we have, she started mouthing off to him. He came over to mouth off to her. He didn't have a gun. She came out of the car with a gun in her hand to answer to a verbal argument. does not give her the right. And it certainly doesn't come under the criteria here in Florida for self-defense. Just doesn't. And it has really divided people. I'm seeing Abe from Flushing, New York. Abe does not agree with me, and I'd like to hear what Abe has to say. What's up, my friend?
Anthony, hi. I'm always on your side, but over here,
that's good.
You're flat wrong.
We love difference of opinions.
Here's the crucial part of it. He was advancing towards her. She said, "Do not come any closer. I will shoot you." There was if he wants to mouth off to her, he doesn't have to come into her space. The minute he advances on her, she feels threatened. And she doesn't know that he's going to give her a smack. He could strangle her. She has no idea. There was a lot of hostility before this.
Let me answer that, Abe. You cannot shoot someone because they might do this or they could do that. You need the law is very specific when it says you feel you are in imminent danger of losing your life or grave bodily harm. Imminent danger. You can't look at
bodily danger.
Yeah,
the point is, if somebody, if the hostility was at a certain pitch and you see a certain degree of anger, it's one thing if there's a gentlemanly, argument, but if there is a lot of hostility, and there is no reason for him to advance on her.
We didn't see any hostility from this guy. He was slowly walking around the parking lot. At one point, his hands were raised up over his head. He never approached her in a way that a reasonable person.
Did you see
No,
the
I
video?
didn't. Listen to me. Listen to me. Listen to me. I'm not saying he never approached her. I'm saying he never approached her looking like he was being menacing. It was a very slow walk toward her. It was dumb. It was stupid. He should have ran for his life. But this does not give her justification to shoot him because she thinks he might do this or he could do that. She needs to be convinced that, like, if he had a bat or a knife in his hand. Did I go off the hook here? All right, we'll be back in moments. Don't go anywhere.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show. God, I was all wound up. I totally threw myself off as far as having to go to a commercial break. It happens. But, I can't understand how people can't see this. With the way the laws are written in Florida for self-defense, with what we saw on the video, again, limited. I get it. I'm not arguing that this is absolutely gospel. Everything I'm saying is 100% what happened and how it's going to go. No, of course not. But we all only have that limited information. And from what I saw, I believe she was not justified in shooting this guy. The guy did some really stupid things. He should have run for his life. I don't understand how people aren't afraid of guns anymore. People have guns drawn on them, and they will start mouthing off, and sometimes it ends in them getting shot. It's crazy. Run. Leave. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I'm leaving right now. There's nothing wrong with doing that. You know, if the gun's involved, you better, and it isn't in your hand, you better swallow your pride, even if it is in your hand. Gun ownership, going out with concealed weapon on you to protect yourself, means you have decided you are not going to get into these little squabbles over parking spaces. You're going to swallow your pride. You're not going to get into a fight because somebody said something to you. It doesn't work that way. That's an amazing responsibility, having a concealed weapon on you. And you can't just think you can use it whenever you feel offended or slighted, or a verbal argument where you feel you're right and the other person's wrong. It doesn't work that way. And what I was saying right before that break, during that break, as a matter of fact, was that a lot of this doesn't even come into play if it goes to trial. He was approaching her. She could have thought that if he gets close, he's going to do this to me. He's going to do that. You know what worked in the George Zimmerman case? He pled self-defense in the killing of Trayvon Martin. And people say, oh, Trayvon, he shot Trayvon because Trayvon had Skittles and iced tea, and it was because he was black. And they're trying to equate it with this case, saying, well, Zimmerman got out of his car with a gun. Yeah, he did. Not in his hand. He was a concealed carry weapons holder. He saw somebody in his neighborhood. He was part of some cockamamie neighborhood watch, for whatever that was worth. And he approached Trayvon and asked him what he was doing in that development, that apartment building development. He didn't pull the gun on him. When Trayvon walked over to him to have a word with him, he didn't pull a gun out and start shooting. George Zimmerman shot Trayvon Martin when Trayvon was on top of him, smashing his head into the concrete, to the point where George Zimmerman was thinking, I am going to pass out. And if I pass out based on the violence this guy has already put upon me, I can reasonably think that if he finds a gun on me, he will shoot me with it. Not because he was walking around. He didn't shoot Trayvon with his Skittles and iced tea because he goes, well, if he walks up to me and hits me, he might take my gun. You can't. That doesn't justify shooting someone until he's bashing your head in on the sidewalk. Then you have an absolute right to defend yourself, which George Zimmerman did. Kill Trayvon, trial, acquitted on self-defense. The two cases are completely different. The man, from what we saw in the video, never indicated he was going to cause her any physical harm. Didn't indicate it. He wasn't pushing her. He never raged at her. From what we see in this video, they were having a verbal altercation. She pulled a gun out, escalating the situation. It was not reasonable for her to take a gun out at that point. If she had a gun concealed on her and the guy starts walking over to her to talk or whatever, she could not draw that gun. If he hit her, if she felt that this guy now is getting physical with me, then she could make the decision. Do I feel that my life is being threatened right now? But the situation being what it was, her drawing the weapon in the first place was illegal. Everything that happened after that, a lot of it is inconsequential at that point. She's the one that escalated the situation. She's the only one that used any violence. The threat of deadly physical force was hers in pulling the gun out and pointing it at her. The use of deadly physical force was on her, the only person in this conflict that used any type of physical force deadly. So everything people have been saying to me to try to say she was justified is static. They're arguing the nonsensical static parts of this that don't add up to what the law says, what the Florida law says. So I don't know what the hell you guys are looking at, but you're looking in the wrong direction. Let me just say that. Gary, Central Islip, New York. I used to live there in old CI. Hey, Gary.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, Gary, I can hear you. Let me say, from Central Islip, you had someone blow their head off with fireworks yesterday.
You're spot on with every comment you're making. The Zimmerman thing, I mean, it was equal force till he was going to get killed.
There you go.
And then you can't even, someone approaches you. I mean, I had a carry permit. I'm an FFL holder. You can't even open your coat to show your gun in a waistband. You're
brandishing.
in the
It's called brandishing. There's a law against
Absolutely.
it, even
Menacing,
in Florida.
Brandishing, and I'll give you another one. If the guy had a bat and he knocked out her headlights, he still didn't have a case.
Still.
He'd have to come to the window and try to hit her before she fires.
Yeah. In a verbal altercation, he could even have said, "I will kill you." She still
Absolutely.
doesn't. She still doesn't have the justification to shoot him.
You've got to have a high level.
Very.
I had an altercation with a kid, and he cold cocks me on the street, with all this knockout stuff. And what am I going to do? I just threw him to the ground and said, "Don't get up or you're going to get hurt." And then I said to the cop, "I don't want to be the guy killing Trayvon Martin."
Yep. I was being assaulted on the streets of New York City. Big black woman decided she was going to smack me, and I left. I walked back to my apartment. I had a gun on me at the time, legally carrying a weapon, and it was in Times Square, in New York City. And I didn't. It never entered my mind to use that weapon. There was no indication, and she got physical with me. There was no justification for me to use deadly physical force right there.
I agree 100%. And by the way, I just am gobsmacked with your show. I tell all my buddies, I said, you got to listen to this guy.
I love it, Gary. Thanks, man. Right before you go, though, let me, because I wanted to ask you about the guy that blew his head off with the fireworks in Central Islip last night.
I only heard about it. I don't know anything more than that, but it was pretty intense around here. I keep horses here right off the park.
Oh, geez, were they going crazy?
And the flashes that were going off back here, I just saw my horses running back and forth. I hope one doesn't run through a fence. So
yeah, that's crazy. Oh, very cool. I like the idea that there's still people with horses on Long Island.
Oh yeah, right on Connecticut Park. There's probably 100 head of horses on my 2 blocks.
Oh, wow. Very cool, Gary. Thanks for the call.
Anthony.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you, man. Here he goes. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for agreeing with me. No, I don't mind people that have a differing viewpoint at all. And look, like I said, I'm no lawyer. I'm trying to use common sense here, and I'm working with what we all saw, the limited amount of evidence that we saw. And I just am not seeing any instance where this woman could claim self-defense. I just do not see it. Let's see. There's another one here. Oh, yeah, Charles, Queens, New York. What's up?
First of all, I really love your show. I love your style.
Thank you, man.
Now, I'm not a lawyer, and I did not see the video. I have a stupid phone, not a smartphone. However,
what do you got? One of those jitterbug phones with the big red cross button just in case you hurt yourself? Oh, give me my jitterbug. My grandchildren could send me pictures.
Okay.
All right.
So I did not see the video, but I've been listening to the show for the last 20 minutes, and I've heard all your reasons why no defense.
Right.
Even though I'm not a lawyer, I would have loved to take on the case and make a case, and I'm passionate about it. It's not a trick. I would invite, I don't want to mention names, all the wokeism lowlives. They're the ones that made it happen. She has a right, if she follows the news like I do, she has a right to think she's living in a freaking war zone. In a war zone that you have no defense. She's a woman.
Right.
I assume she's not a wrestler, okay? And a man goes next to her, and a friend of hers, it happened maybe to a friend of hers, or she knows somebody, maybe it happened to her too once before, and it's PTSD. The point is, the wrong person is being indicted. She's living in a war zone. She's living in anarchy. Why is only 1% of the people, the rage, the outrage at what's going on, is only 1% of what it should be? I don't understand. I don't want to say something that I get into trouble.
No,
but all these anarchists are enablers. I mean more than that, by the way. They are.
I understand. I don't know if that can come into play with her claim of self-defense. If she had some prior event that made her more afraid of this situation. Maybe that could be relevant. I don't think it would be. I think we're looking at a case here where if they do arrest her and she is indicted for this, I think we're looking at more of a case of just straightforward self-defense. Would the jury, with all the evidence considered, do the same thing she did? Would they feel, being reasonable people, that their life was in imminent danger of being taken? And I just don't see it, just like I didn't see it with the Carmelo Anthony case.
But she has a right to feel that she's living in a war zone. And
well, she does, but that isn't the fault of the guy that got shot here. You can't justify shooting someone because you're afraid of everything when you leave the house.
No, but it's the fault of the regressors. They should be tried.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of people that should be. Judges, DAs, politicians. Believe me, the gallows can't be long enough to fit a lot of people there, Charles. Thanks for the call, my friend. I appreciate that. But, this is going to be another one. And the fact that it's racially charged, a black woman and a white guy, anytime these two groups of people have a problem, it is divided down color lines. Black people look at the thing and say she's absolutely justified. And there are white people. I don't think the percentage of white people that are looking at this are adamant that she was wrong. I see a lot of white people that are saying that she was justified to do this. But the multitude of people defending her are black people. And it was the same thing with the Carmelo Anthony case. I think when you look at a common color, the person that did something and the color of your skin, and you side with them based on that, it's ridiculous. It's ignorant. It's stupid. It makes you look stupid. I'm not siding with the guy that got killed here. I'm looking at the law. I said Casey Anthony was innocent when that trial was going on. I said, yeah, they do not have a case here. They cannot figure out how the kid even died. Never mind who did it. And all the moms on social media, on the news shows that they had, they're all like, oh, she's going to burn in hell. That woman, a mother, how could she have done that to the kid? And I'm sitting there going, take the emotion out of it. Take your maternal instincts out of it. Look at the case. Look at the evidence. There is nothing that ties her to that dead kid. Oh, she's a liar. She lied about everything. The kid disappears. She doesn't report the kid gone for a while. But the prosecution could not say, here's how this kid died, and here's how she did it. And I'm saying she's going to be acquitted, and people called me nuts. And then the Carmelo Anthony case was a simple case. There's nothing. No jury is going to sit there and go, oh, I'd have stabbed him in the chest if he walked over and said, hey, and put his hand on my shoulder, gave me a push and said, leave the tent. Oh, right. Oh, that's imminent death. Oh, I need to stab him right in the chest. No jury. Reasonable jury is going to say that he was justified in doing that. And I'm saying the same thing here. This woman, I don't care if he's walking toward her. I don't care if he's going in between cars. I don't care that they had an argument beforehand. Her taking the gun out was escalating the situation. There was no need, no reason for her to take that gun out of that car. And when she did that, she escalated the situation. She put herself in more danger. Now she could let her imagination run wild. This guy comes up to me. He's going to take my gun. I need to shoot him. Well, you escalated it. And like I read in the law, if you started the fight or escalated it unreasonably, the defense is unavailable. Self-defense is unavailable. And I absolutely believe it was unreasonable for her to look at the situation at hand and think she needed to take a gun out of her car for what was nothing more than a verbal altercation that never got physical in the entire time they were arguing over a damn parking space. Move on, people. It's just too volatile these days to mouth off about a parking space or someone cut you off. Or I used to be an insane road rage guy. Somebody cut me off, I'd hit the gas, didn't care, 100 miles an hour. I'm catching up to them. I'm swerving into them. I'm looking down into my cup holder to see if I have a golf ball or change in there or a bottle to throw at the car. I was nuts. And then as I got a little older, I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Why would I put myself in danger for something that if I just let off the gas, took a deep breath, wouldn't even think about a minute later? It wouldn't even bother me. And I'm willing to risk my life for a little place, a little spot of real estate in a Walmart parking lot. It's the dumbest thing you could do, people. Do not do it. But I believe she was completely at fault here and not justified in shooting that guy. Back in a minute.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network. It's the Anthony Cumia Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. Thanks so much for tuning in this Sunday on 4th of July weekend. I don't know what this story is. I just saw it while I was scrolling through X. I'm going to need more details, but the headline here just says, man kidnapped by two prostitutes in Oakland and forced to transfer money from an ATM. Look, dude, whatever you need to tell your wife, that's your business. But that is the worst excuse I've ever heard for taking money out and getting two prostitutes. Hope it works for you, though. Hope it works for you. That's, I doubt it will. Danny from Astoria. What's up, Dan?
Hey, I agree with you 100%. You know, first of all, that guy, he shouldn't have walked toward the girl. You see a gun, you walk away.
Of course.
Yeah, and he walked slowly toward her. He's probably mouthing off.
Yep.
But you can't shoot him because you feel afraid. I mean, by that logic, I could walk down Fifth Avenue, feel terrified by everybody, open fire. It doesn't make any sense.
Right. How many times have you been walking around, you see somebody giving you the stink eye, they give you some guff, you hit them a little, your elbows or your shoulders hit while you're walking down the sidewalk, and they'll tell you, hey, MF, what was that about? Can I just draw my weapon because I feel they're going to do something to me? No, of course not.
No, and I walk out of my house every day with a gun, at least one. I'm very situationally aware.
Exactly.
So I'm calm and quiet. I don't bother anybody. But you got to use your head. This guy didn't use his head at all. And the woman, she'll be lucky if she gets manslaughter because there was no audio. But, if he was cursing and a ranting and raving, then maybe she can get manslaughter. But that's about it. Because she was dead wrong.
She was wrong in this one. I don't know how so many people are, again, it's so much emotion. And it's just right down racial lines a lot of times. And it's always a bunch of stuff that is inconsequential to the case itself. No one wants to look at the facts because sometimes it interferes with their beliefs or their passions or their emotions. Look at the evidence. Look at the case law. And it just, and again, I can't say this enough. It's limited. I haven't seen a fraction of what would be seen in a courtroom and heard from other people. So I don't know, but based on what we've all seen so far, this does not look like self-defense. She really, no pun, jumped the gun with pulling that gun out and getting out of her vehicle with it when there was
and one more
no
thing
reason.
I've noticed one thing. They think since they have a right to own a weapon, that equates to I could use the weapon whenever I want.
Right.
That's what Carmelo Anthony and this lady, they're just using it because they have the right to own it. And it doesn't work like that.
What was that line in Spider-Man? With great power comes great responsibility. A gun is so much power. And power is a great thing when you need equalization with an adversary. If someone is trying to kill you and they are bigger than you, it's a great equalizer. You know, I don't want my grandma to have to get into a protracted knife fight with a young gang member. She would be dead in a second. If she has a gun, she has a great fighting chance, the great equalizer. But with that power to equalize with an adversary is the responsibility that you need to check a lot of things at the door when you leave your house with a gun on you. Pride, you can't take pride with you. You can't take anger with you, jealousy. There's a lot of things you need to leave at the door when you carry a weapon. You're carrying that weapon for protection, your protection, protection of your loved ones, and you don't get something for nothing. You know, you look at physics. Physics tells you can't get something for nothing. With that amazing power and ability to protect you and your family, the sacrifice that's made, the cost for that is that you can't act like you want to act in some circumstances. You can't be an overly proud person that is willing to defend their pride because somebody disrespected you and get into a fight that might lead to somebody laying on the sidewalk bleeding out. So unless you're ready for that, I would leave the gun at home in a locked box, perhaps. But when you take one out and you're carrying it with you in public, you got to check a lot of shit. Oh my God, I cursed. Punch out of that. You gotta check a lot of stuff at the door. I can't believe it, Danny. I'm being potty mouth over here.
You know, you're exactly right, though, and I make sure I have gun insurance, you know, to pay for lawyers if God forbid.
Yeah. You need that too, definitely.
And the other great line from Spider-Man was, "He stinks and I don't like him."
Jim Norton, surly truck driver. Yeah. All right, man. Thank you, Danny. Take it easy. I do that every so often. I just feel so natural in speaking, like I'm speaking to a friend. And then I threw out an S-bomb right there, and I hope they caught it. You guys catch that back at base? No? You didn't catch it? Oh, no. I'm going to be fired. The FCC is going to get me. I said it without the T. Put it that way. Oh, the boss is listening. Oh, my God, I'm in trouble. Well, what are you going to do? It happens. All right, we're going to move on to something. Now, when I first saw this, I thought, oh, this is a good topic. It involves Hunter Biden. He's an a-hole. We don't put much credibility or credence in what he says. Plagued by drug issues, and he's a degenerate. The laptop was just full of incriminating evidence. He was also convicted of a gun crime. He lied on his application to buy a gun, and he was found guilty of that. His daddy pardoned him after he said he wouldn't pardon his son. I will not pardon Hunter. I'm not going to do that. And then he pardons him. But par for the course. You know, those are the Bidens. So he put out a 4th of July X post about Donald Trump and the Trump family. And I read through it, and I was like, this guy has been a piece of garbage his whole life. And I like the Trumps. I like Donald Trump as president. I've had Don Jr. on my shows, my internet show and the Opie and Anthony show years ago. I like him. They seem like a good family, Their kids are good. The Trump's grandkids seem like they got stuff going on, and they're smart and responsible. And so I read this, and I'm like, all right, let me see what this idiot's up to. He writes, I hope everyone had a great 4th of July. I know Donald Trump and family did. So I'm like, oh, is he being magnanimous? Is he, putting the old, getting the old olive branch out there? 250 years ago, we declared independence from a king who ran the colonies as a family business. In just 18 months, the Trumps have made King George look like an amateur. And then he lists a few things. $620 million Pentagon loan, the largest in the program's history, to a company Don Jr.'s firm bought into 3 months before they got this loan. Air Force drone contract to a startup that Princelings took public through a golf course company that they own a piece of. The Army's largest drone motor order ever to a company where Don Jr. sits on the board and holds millions in stock. $24 million Pentagon robotics contract to the company that employs Eric Trump as chief strategy advisor. A stake in the largest undeveloped tungsten deposit on Earth in Kazakhstan, comrade, backed by $1.6 billion in U.S. government support. Jared, he's funds seeded with $2 billion from the Saudi Crown Prince, now $6.2 billion, 99% of it foreign money from the Gulf governments, over $110 million in fees collected from the Saudis alone. He negotiates American foreign policy with the governments that pay him. $2.3 billion from cryptocurrency ventures their father regulates. More than 1 million people bought in and lost $2.3 billion. The money didn't grow. It simply moved from the subject's pocket to the crown's coffers. And the next one is already drafted. A proposed ATF rule that will allow guns to be shipped straight to your door. The government's own estimate is 3.3 million home gun deliveries a year. Don Jr. sits on the board of the online gun megastore built to cash in. He holds 300,000 shares of that company. And then he says not one subpoena, no grand juries, no anything. Now, look, he's a piece of garbage. He really is. Hunter Biden is a degenerate. There are allegations that he has been involved in crimes against humanity. I mean, we've seen some of the pictures and descriptions of things he's involved in. So I wasn't just going to go off and bash him without doing a little checking. Oh, boy. This doesn't look good. It's not a good look. I'm not saying it doesn't look good and Donald Trump is going to prison for it and the Trump kids are doing anything illegal. I'm just saying this is a bad look. And I'm a Trump supporter. Don't even think I'm not. Don't think I'm a plant. I'm an op. I'm a psyop. I'm a fed. I'm this, I'm that. When we get back from the break, I'm going to go through a few of these that we just mentioned from Hunter's text or post. And it really does not, it's not a good look. This shouldn't be happening. And we'll talk about that next.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show, and we're yapping about the Trumps and the money that the Trump businesses are making through the Trump kids, Don Jr. and Eric and company. And is it, I don't think it's illegal. I don't think it's illegal. Is it ethical? Donald Trump is the president, and he does not run the day-to-day business of the Trump Corporation and the Trump businesses. That doesn't mean that his family and the businesses can't profit off of some of the decisions that Donald Trump makes. Now, if he's giving them information and that's provable, that probably is a crime. But like I said, Hunter Biden had written an ex-post about all these things the Trumps are doing to make money and how the influence of the president of the United States is giving them huge profits. And they're getting preferential treatment on some of these loans and grants and contracts. So we listed a bunch of things, and I went through these. And I did a little research to find out if what Hunter Biden was saying was in fact true. And there's some shadiness here. The $620 million Pentagon loan, the largest in the program's history, to Vulcan Elements, 3 months after Don Jr.'s firm invested. 1789 Capital, where Trump Jr. is a partner, took an undisclosed stake in Vulcan Elements, a North Carolina rare earth magnet startup for drones and satellites. In August 2025, as part of a funding round, he did that. In November 2025, the Pentagon Office of Strategic Capital announced a $620 million conditional loan to Vulcan, the largest by the office. Vulcan also received $50 million from commerce chips related, computer chips, DoD contracts. And the Vulcan's valuation reportedly rose from $200 million toward $2 billion. And that doesn't look good. It does not look good. Senior advisor Peter Navarro, with personal ties to Trump Jr., directed Pentagon staff to expedite the deal unusually quickly, bypassing or shortening normal vetting, context, and counterpoints. This fits broader Trump administration priorities on critical minerals. So it's not like they're doing it and when it's looked into, people say, well, they don't even need this. America doesn't need this. Why would the president be involved in this? It is something that is good for the country. Rare earth magnets are a huge resource right now for drones, satellites, AI. But the fact that Don Jr. is involved in this company, and this is the company that gets millions upon millions of dollars in DoD contracts and loans, it's not a good look. Air Force drone contract to a startup, the Princelings, took public through a golf course company that they own a piece of. That's weird. Powerous Florida drone interceptor drone maker receives investment from Eric and Don Jr. Announced March of 2026. It planned to go public via a merger with Arias Greenway Holdings, described in reports as a Trump family-linked golf course holding company. Now, I don't know how you merge an Air Force drone contract, a company that would take money for Air Force drones, developing drone technology, and merge it with a golf course. But if the Trump family is owners or part owners in the golf course, it does not look good. That is not a good look. I've never heard of that before. It's like taking a car company and merging it with cereal company. Ford Motor Company is now Kellogg's. Seems shenanigan-ish. Army's largest drone motor order ever to a company where Don Jr. sits on the board and holds millions in stock. Unusual Machines, a drone component motor maker, added Don Jr. to its advisory board in November 24. Shortly after the election, he received shares, 200,000 to 332,000, valued in the millions. In October 2025, it won an Army contract for 3,500 drone motors and components, described in company and some media reports as a major, as a major support and funding for the government order. Yeah, okay. Stock reacted positively to related news. Defense Tech Push says Don Jr.'s role as advisor or investor, company statements and its representatives have said he does not lobby the administration on its behalf. Critics see a pattern of family proximity coinciding with favorable outcomes. No proven illegal coordination reported, though. again, this might be completely legitimate and legal, but it does not look good at all. And I've been hearing about this for a while, but I never really looked into it. I just said, oh, knock it off. Everyone does business. Look, Trump was a multi-billion company when he became president for the first term and for this second term. So it's not like he became president, he's making the presidential salary, and then he's doing things and making businesses for his kids. The businesses were all set up. They're just running his empire while he's the president. And that was always my thing. You can't tell someone that their family can't run a business just because the father is the president. But some of this looks really bad. It doesn't look ethical at all. And then there's a Pentagon robotics contract. The company employs Eric Trump as chief strategy advisor. That doesn't look good. Then there's the stake in the largest undeveloped tungsten deposit in Kazakhstan, and that's backed by a $1.6 billion U.S. government support payout. And that is linked to Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump, sometimes with ties to Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick's family. They acquired stakes, 20% in related entities around the time of the deal. U.S. government support and financing discussions or commitments were up to $1.6 billion, have been referenced in coverage as part of critical minerals strategy. So again, it's needed. We need these minerals. We need tungsten. But do the Trumps have to be involved in it financially in a way that makes them richer? There's a few more. I won't go into all of them. It's, like I said, not a good look. I think if you wanted to make it look like, and then the crypto thing, Trump obviously has pull in regulating, in some ways, cryptocurrency, and he's deeply involved in crypto. And they've made a lot of money, and a lot of people have lost a lot of money on the Trump coin. But the people that don't lose the money are insiders. The people that bought that at a price and then the price goes down, you're left holding the bag, but that money goes somewhere. And it seems like a lot of it went into the Trump family, into their bank accounts. So while I support Trump, this is one of those instances where I have to say this is a bad look. I don't think they should have done these things. I can't see how Trump Jr. being on the board of directors for a defense contractor isn't a conflict of interest. I cannot see how people could look at that and say it's not a conflict. And if you could somehow prove it isn't a conflict, it still looks bad. And with the midterms coming up, the last thing the Trump administration needs is some scandal that can easily be put out there to make the family look bad. I'm a supporter, and I think it looks terrible. You don't think the opposition, the Democrats, liberals, are going to sit on this and not use it? Back in a moment.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
It is the Anthony Cumia Show, and I want to talk a little bit about Mayor Johnson, my favorite mayor in the country, Brandon Johnson over there in Chicago. This guy, you'd be hard-pressed to find a worse mayor than Brandon Johnson in Chicago. Mamdani, he's got potential. He's relatively new, so he could do a lot of damage. But Brandon Johnson, it's just a reign of death. He's a plague on Chicago. So many people have died on his watch as mayor directly because of his policies. his lack of ambition to do anything about the insane amount of violence that goes on in Chicago. He's the mayor. He runs the police department, and he will not allow the cops to do what they need to do. Get the Chicago police in great numbers and have them bust up anything that resembles a teen gathering. They get together for these street takeovers. They get together to run through malls, county fairs, amusement parks, anything going on. And the result is violence, destruction, and even death. There's a lot of what they call gun violence. That's what they call it. I've never seen a gun be violent. It usually has to be in a violent person's hand for that to happen, but that's what they want to call it. So I've been listening to Mayor Johnson talk about what needs to be done, because there are a few brave reporters who call this guy out and say, oh, Mayor Johnson, what are you doing? The body count is up. Another week has gone by, and we have a dozen young people dead, 5 times that wounded. What are you doing? And he always has such great ideas. Remember last week I talked about he's opening up the doors to YMCAs at night. So instead of going around and stealing a car and doing donuts in an intersection, setting the car on fire, driving off and maybe shooting into a crowd, they can play air hockey or parcheesi. Huh? Maybe a little Monopoly for some of the brighter thugs that might want to go into the YMCA. He puts so much on the youth that are actually perpetrating the crimes. He believes in them, that if they're just given some board games and maybe a basketball, that they'll just stop thinking about perpetrating any violence or crimes in Chicago. And he doesn't care if it doesn't work 5, 10, 20 times in a row. He will stick to this, because the worst thing he could do is set the police out and start rounding up the bad elements and throwing them in jail. Another wise thing that Brandon Johnson said was, we cannot incarcerate our way out of violence and crime. Really? I think that's the best way. You take the violent people and you throw them in a jail. And then if more people are violent, you throw them in jail. And after a while, even a complete moron will look and go, maybe I'll go to jail if I commit violence. But he doesn't see it that way. You cannot incarcerate your way out of violence and crime. So he was asked again what he's doing about the violence. And this was his answer this time, AC6.
Just as one of the few young people here, the first thing that the pastor spoke about was these teen takeovers. How do we fight back against the narrative that seeks to paint us as thugs and as people who just want to act crazy with no home discipline, when in reality, just like some of you all here today, you guys had places to go to. You had YMCAs. You guys had friends who had houses that you can go and have a party at. So, Mayor, how can we make sure, because you've already done it, but how can we make sure that we fight back against the narrative that seeks to make us as young people the villains, when really we are the amplifying voice that seeks to be the unifying generation?
Yeah, great job. Many people believe that my position automatically is soft on crime. And what I find fascinating is that if a black man displays compassion, that somehow he's soft. Do you understand how jacked up that narrative is? This is the same society, though, that tells little black boys not to cry. And then when I get them in middle school and they're not talking, we say, how come you're not talking? We send these real horrible mixed signals that if I were to come down with the gauntlet and talk about locking people up and doing all kind of other things, corporal punishment, folks would then call me strong. that is only applied to our community. If the only answer is to criminalize, demonize, and lock them up, we've done that. And so what we could do more of is to have spaces for young people to be able to talk and share about their hopes and aspirations and push adults to respond to those demands. Last week, I believe Alderman held a subject matter hearing where young people could just come down and talk about the trends and the takeovers and how we can resolve. I don't believe we had more than 6 aldermen in the room at a time. Now you have all these alders who want to pass ordinances and that are not even constitutional. But when it comes to actually listening to the needs of our communities, somehow they're not available for that. We have to do better. You have thousands of children across this city who do exactly what they're supposed to do. And then you get a handful who don't. And then all of them are judged by that handful. No one else gets judged in that mass in any other community that way. So why are we doing it when it comes to black children? Do you all know there are massive teen takeovers in London? It's out of control. It's out of control. And don't let one of those soccer team win. So I think we have to create more spaces to tell the truth. And then when young people say this is what we want, we should believe them and actually provide it for them. Yeah.
Oh, God. Oh my God! Yeah, I could see the young people behaving already. That was nonsensical. What he was saying. He's trying to say that the young people, the ones perpetrating the crimes, the takeovers, the violence, the shootings, are the ones they need to ask, "Hey, what can we do so you stop doing this?" No, there's something called discipline. He says that he's called soft on crime because he's not locking people up. Yeah, that's exactly it. You are. You're not trying to prevent kids from committing crimes that aren't committing them. There's, you could do that with preschoolers at this point, because I've seen some thugs that are literally 10 years old in Chicago, 12-year-olds up on murder charges. So if you want to go to the preschools and the elementary schools and have those kids, talk to them, bring them to these places and say, hey, violence, there's other things to do. There's other ways you could lead your life without getting into gangs and stuff, then fine. But you're talking about people that are already in it. They are already ganged up. They're already committing pretty hardcore crimes. And it's not a handful. These takeovers are swarms. Hundreds of people are out perpetrating violent crimes. And they're very effective when it comes to destroying property, injuring people, and murder. There isn't a narrative that is just exclusive to the black community. He's like, why do the black community, why do young black people have this stigma, or they have to say, you need to do something? What about the white kids that win a soccer game and then they're rioting? Or because it's not happening at that level. When I'm scrolling, when I'm doom scrolling at night and looking at videos of teen takeovers, they're not groups of white kids or Asian kids. They're groups of black kids. They're out there doing these awful things, and no one seems to want to actually talk about it. Never mind do something about it. You can't even talk about it. And as I was saying earlier, you can do things like make these amusement parks and other places, make it so you can't get in if you're under a certain age. Everybody. No one's allowed in. Well, why? If one group of people are the problem, why should everyone be treated like a criminal? This is what's happening. There are so many water parks during the summer and amusement parks, And they're putting out these policies saying, well, due to violence and destruction of property, we are making it mandatory that you have a adult over 25 years old, and they have to be in charge of every 18 and under person that comes in. And there are so many people that would never cause a problem. They want to have a little adolescent independence, going out with your friends to an amusement park or wherever. And now they can't do that. They would be responsible. They'd be fine. But they can't do that because of what he's calling a handful of people. Well, then don't allow the handful in. How about that? How about the handful isn't allowed in to the amusement park, but everyone else can go in? Because until stuff like that starts happening, this will never end. It'll just get worse and worse because that's what's been happening. There's more animosity, more anger. You're hearing about fatigue, exhaustion. And where does it end? Where does it end? The violence, the fighting, the takeovers. I mean, we've seen beaches over the course of this 4th of July weekend where you couldn't lay down a blanket, have your family there, go in the water, come back out, eat your lunch. There's a stampede of teens. When it's a few bad apples and they're stampeding over your blanket on the beach, yeah, I don't think you care that it's a few bad apples. But there's Mayor Johnson. He wants to talk to the criminals about what to do about their crimes instead of locking them up. Jail time. Real consequence. That's what needs to be done. Real consequence. Because none of this coddling that Mayor Johnson is doing will do anything. It's not going to help. And we just go through the same garbage every time. What do you think about this Patriot Front march that happened in D.C.? The Patriot Front, they're a white supremacist group. Is that what I'm hearing? And other people say they're feds. These are feds. They're federal agents. They're trying to entrap some white supremacists, so they put them out there. They're also trying to make people on the right look bad, like they're still racists, like the Klan and Nazis and stuff. And I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if they're actually white supremacists. And I'm not like a conspiracy guy. So I kind of lean toward, I could see people getting together and seeing what's going on. The Great Replacement Theory, you heard about that one where white people are being replaced by illegal aliens, and it's for the Democrat votes. The Democrats want more votes, so the less right-wing, straight, white men there are, the more votes the Democrats get. So they're trying to phase out white people. And the white people are like, yeah, we don't like that. We don't like that idea. I wouldn't see anybody.
It's the Anthony Cumia Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The Anthony Cumia Show. The Supreme Court last week made a couple of decisions, one of which, of course, was the birthright citizenship. They said that Donald Trump's executive order that said that we are no longer going along with this birthright citizenship. We can't have people coming here, pregnant women, dropping a kid, and all of a sudden the kid's an American citizen. The mother has to be there for the kid, so she gets to live here. Or like in China, they just take the kid back. Now they have a kid with American citizenship, and it's the long game. They're playing the long game. In time, they'll be able to vote. They get benefits from the United States, all because they came here pregnant and had a child on American soil. This is just an awful policy. What good is coming from that? We really need to vet immigrants. We need to look at who's coming into this country, see if they're beneficial to the country. People from the third world, what are we waiting for? The one needle in the haystack, the one wonderful person in a crowd of third world morons and people that hate this country. But that one person might turn out to be like Nikola Tesla. It ain't happening. It's not worth it. It really isn't worth the destruction that's happening in this country. So the Supreme Court decided the EO was not constitutional because of the 14th Amendment. That has to be changed. It really does. And I don't know. I don't know if we have the numbers. What do they need? A 2/3 majority? It's a lot more complicated than just passing a bill to change the Constitution. So I don't know. I would hope to see it. I doubt I'd see it. And we continue letting people in to have kids and become citizens. But the other thing that was discussed, of course, was men in women's sports. This has been going on a while, and the Supreme Court decided that the states should have the right to decide if their state wants to have men competing against women, because that's what it is. I'm not buying into the dumb game. Oh, there's so many genders. It's men and women, and then there's bisexual, and then there's transgender, but then there's also non-binary. It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And every instance you see of a man competing against women, they just decimate the women. And it's not just, oh, better luck next time. It's costing these women scholarships, endorsements, everything that goes with a sports star becoming a big deal. And it's so unfair. And the fact that feminists, because they're all liberal feminists, remember them back in the day? Now they don't care about women. They just toe the liberal line and say, well, LGBTQ, we have to support them. So they just decide women don't have any rights as far as competing and getting those scholarships. Imagine you work your entire life. Your parents take you to practice and the money that's spent on equipment and lessons and training. And then some big bruiser who decided he's a girl 6 months ago gets on the track and blows everyone away. And now the girls that have been working their whole life to maybe go to a good college or the Olympics, they're just, well, sorry, a man's a woman too. So it's ridiculous. But this I found really funny. This is NBC News. They wanted to report on the story. They had to do a disclaimer because the language that was used by the Supreme Court said some things that they think might be triggering to some of their viewers. Listen to this insane tap dance they're trying to do around gender and not triggering the poor people. AC5.
Just a quick note here. The terms that we're using here during our reporting, biological male, biological female, the High Court put those terms in quotations in their decision and their dissent. But just so you know, we're using those terms from the decision itself, biological male, biological female.
Can you believe that? Can you believe that was necessary on NBC News? Hey, look. We're not saying anything crazy like biological male and biological female because we know that's nuts. You know, science, biology, anatomy, gender. We'd be crazy to say that. Now we know the people that watch NBC News are all nuts. The last people that are still watching network news are crazy. And we know this. So we're catering to insane people. So we'd like you to know we're not coming up with those nutty terms like man and woman. a disclaimer that you may hear things like biological male and biological female. We're at that point of lunacy. All right, my friends, we will see you back here next week, next Sunday, when we meet again for another week's worth of nonsense that we'll talk about. Anthony Cumia is my name, and it's also my handle on X. Follow me there for all the news you need to know about me. And we'll see you back here next week. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great rest of your weekend.
Thanks for listening to The Anthony Cumia Show. You can hear The Anthony Cumia Show Sunday nights at 8. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?